Hi everyone. So welcome to this top 10 question series for INI-CT on behalf of Dr. Bhatia Medical Institute and eGurukul. I will be talking about radiology related questions. Now, as we all know that there is lot of ifs and buts about the exams that are happening nowadays. We have exam on 22nd July. We really do not know that what will be the pattern. Will it be really a single best answer, or we can expect many types of MCQs as we have seen in the past in some of the AIMS exam. So in this top 10 MCQs, I will try to take you through all those patterns so that if we get the different kind of pattern, it doesn't come to you as a surprise and you are prepared for it. Okay, so let's start. So this is structured on the basis of a single best pattern type of question. There is an image and there is a stem of the question. Now look at the image. This is the image of a pelvis, and the question is: an 18-year-old footballer player presents to the emergency with severe pain following an injury while hitting the football. He heard a snap while kicking the ball. Which of the following muscle is likely to be injured? So what do we see in this radiograph? If you see, you can see that there is an avulsion of the anterior inferior iliac spine. Now please remember, this is not anterior superior iliac spine. Anterior superior spine will be up. This is an anterior inferior iliac spine. There is an avulsion fracture of the anterior inferior iliac spine, and immediately it should recall onto your anatomy knowledge that which muscle is attached onto the anterior inferior iliac spine. The answer is rectus femoris. If you are thinking the answer is sartorius, this is wrong. Sartorius is attached onto the anterior superior iliac spine, which is a distractor over here. So the answer for here is rectus femoris. AIMS is notorious in asking these kind of questions, which starts with radiology but actually ends on anatomy. We start with medicine and ends on pharmacology. And that is why you need to have a comprehensive knowledge of that particular subject. Linking the subject with each another is very, very useful in the exams like INI-CT. Now, this is a match the following pattern of question which have been listed as one of the pattern. Match the following type. Each question shall have two columns with 4 items in one column, and you may have 4 to 5 items in another column, and that needs to be matched appropriately with the best alternative available in the next column. So this is related to the X-ray tube. Now you have got filter, grid, collimator and rotatory anode. Let's quickly revise about the X-ray tube. We know that we have this glass envelope. Then we have got cathode, and the most important part of cathode is filament. And we have got anode, and the most important part of anode is target. Now this anode is usually nowadays rotated for a better heat dissipation, so that the heat tolerant capacity of the tube is more, because once the electron is touching or the hitting the anode, 99% of it is converting into heat and only 1% is converting into X-ray, and that is why a rotation give a better heat tolerant capacity. Then you have got filter. Now what is a filter? Filter block low energy. We know filters are made up of aluminium, and these filter block low energy radiation, so the radiation dose to the patient can be reduced. After the filter, you have got a door which is called a collimator. And what's a collimator? Collimator is a beam restricting device. It's a beam restricting device to reduce the scatter of the radiation. And then finally you get the patient, and between the patient and the cassette, what do you get is parallelly arranged lead stripes. What do you get is parallelly arranged lead stripes. What do they do? They reduces the scatter radiation from reaching to the cassette. So now let's see, what is a filter? Filter block low energy radiation. What is a grid? Grid blocks scatter radiation to improve image quality. What is a collimator? Collimator is a beam restricting device to reduce scatter radiation. And what is a rotatory anode? It gives you a better heat tolerant capacity. Okay, so this is a new pattern. Match the following. We are not really sure whether it will be there in the paper or not. but please do not take it as a surprise. If these patterns are there, please, you should be doing them without getting anxious. Another match the following pattern. This is related to the sequences of MRI. Sequences of MRI. So let's quickly revise the important sequences of MRI over here. So we have very important, which is T1 weighted image, which is for anatomy. In order to see anatomy, we do T1 weighted MRI. T2 weighted MRI is done to see pathology in a particular tissue. These are the two basic sequences in the MR, T1 and T2. And we know World War II, water is white on T2. Then you have got flare. The easiest way to remember flare is, it is T2 minus water. It is T2 minus water. That pathology is white. What you will remember? Pathology is white. Fluid is black. Fluid is black. Okay. And then you have stir, STIR. The easiest way to remember, T2 minus fat. T2 minus fat. Pathology will be white. Fat will be black. Fat will be black. So T1, T2, flare, stir. Then DWI. DWI is for acute ischemia. DWI is for acute ischemia. And the last, I will not say last, but another important one is top, which is time of flight imaging. Time of flight imaging, which is for MR angiography. Which is for MR angiography. Flare. Flare is for screening of multiple sclerosis. Because multiple sclerosis plaques, which are pericallosal plaques, are very well seen on flare. TOF. TOF is for angiography. Diffusion weighted MRI is for ischemic stroke, and spectroscopy assesses the chemical composition of the lesion. Fatty lesions in the brain, usually we do not have fatty lesions in the brain. Otherwise, in order to pick up marrow edema against the marrow fat, what do you use is a stir MRI. Okay, stir MRI. Sequences of MRI is an important topic. This definitely should be on your tips, whether you are going for an INI-CT exam or for a NEET PG exam. Another match the following pattern question, where I have tried to give you the important kinds of CT scans that can be used. So we have got many types. We have got NCCT, which is a non-contrast CT scan. You have got a CCT, which is a contrast enhanced CT scan, or you have got an HRCT, which is high resolution CT scan. And in today's world, a special kind of fusion imaging where a PET is combined with the CT, which is called as a PET CT. So when we talk about NCCT, can we quickly revise important indications of NCCT? If somebody asks me, I say NCCT will be done to pick up problems related to cortical bone, calculi, calcification, air, and acute hemorrhage in brain. If you see any of these four things, I would always prefer to do a non-contrast CT, whereas HRCT, which is a special kind of CT scan, is done for ILD, bronchiectasis, and miliary TB. When somebody asks me CECT, I will say wherever you are not doing NCCT or HRCT, you are doing CCT, like staging of tumors, lymph node characterization to see the necrosis, etc. in the lymph node, infections, inflammation, and abscesses. If you want to see infection, inflammation, and abscesses, you will do a CCT. Trauma. It is to be noted that except at two places for trauma, I will do a CCT. And what are these two exceptions? Yes. What are these two exceptions? First is head trauma, because in a head trauma, you are looking at acute hemorrhage in brain, which for which you are doing NCCT, and also unstable patient, because in unstable patient, you do not have time to perform the imaging, and that is why I would like to do investigation, something like an ultrasound, which is called as FAST. And also remember, angiography is also a type of CECT. Angiography is also a type of CECT, whereas PET-CT is majorly done for staging of most of the tumor. Staging of most of the tumors. NCCT, among these, if somebody asks me, I will say it is done for pneumothorax. CECT, if you ask me, I will say CECT is done for nodal and bony metastasis. HRCT is done for interstitial lung disease, and PET-CT is done for lung malignancy. It is to be noted that even if it's a lung cancer and if you want to see neural involvement, you have to do an MRI. So D option is not matching with anything. So this is the correct answer for this. Another pattern that could be there is a sequential arrangement type. A very important tip that I want to give you, that if you have this pattern, the commonest mistake that we do is we do not see the pattern that has been asked. Is it an increasing pattern that has been asked or a decreasing pattern that has been asked? So please make sure that you are looking this very carefully. Okay, so please arrange the following imaging modalities in increasing order of radiation dose. So that means the lowest being first and more being later. So what are these? CT scan abdomen, the amount of radiation is around 8 millisievert. Abdominal X-ray has got less radiation, around 0.2 millisievert. Whereas the chest X-ray 0.02 millisievert. Bone scan has got a radiation dose of around 4 millisievert. So what is the answer? Chest X-ray, abdominal X-ray, bone scan, and CT abdomen. See, sequential arrangement have got very large amount of negative marking. It is usually +1, -1. So you have to be very careful in selecting the answer. Please take care of this increasing or decreasing order. Otherwise, you will lose a potential not 1 mark but 2 mark in these kind of questions. Another sequential arrangement, which is again based on principle of CT scanning, and this is arrange the following in increasing order of HU value. The HU value, all you know is HU value or a CT number. Now what is a numeric HU value? It is a numerical value given to each tissue depending on degree of attenuation of X-rays by that tissue. In a simple language, it is a value that we give to each tissue which defines that how much beam is blocked by that particular tissue. If a tissue allow beam to pass, it has got a less HU value. If a tissue blocks the beam, it has got a highest HU value. The easiest way to remember is remember it as -1000 to +1000. -1000 is given to air and +1000 is given to cortical bone. It's cortical bone. 0 is given to water. 0 is given to water. And you can add -100 and +100. -100 is given to fat and +100 is given to acute hematoma. Acute hematoma. Now what you can remember? There is another you can add which is +30 to 40, which is usually the reference value, which is around the HU value of muscle. Around the HU value of muscle. So now if I have to put that into this order, so fat will be around -100, water will be 0, air will be -1000, and muscle will be around 30. And we have to give increasing order. Increasing order. So what will be the answer? Air, fat, water, and muscle. Air, fat, water, and muscle. It is to be noted that the most hypodense structure on the CT is air. Most hyperdense structure is cortical bone, but water having an HU value of 0 is not isodense. Isodense is normal density of an undiseased tissue, which is around 30 to 40. Water is considered as hypodense on CT. Water is considered as hypodense on CT. Okay. Another pattern that was described and have been asked in the past is multiple completion type. And this is a type that is being asked in nowadays new pattern NEET exam also, very commonly asked pattern. So you have to be very thorough. So I'll tell you certain tips related to this particular pattern also. Now in this pattern, you are not supposed to pick up the answer from these four statements. Rather, on the basis of these four statements, you have to pick up a key that will be given. Now this is a sample key that I am giving you, but what I would suggest you is that whenever you have such a question, spend around 10-15 seconds to look at the key. And in that particular key, try to identify a pattern that it is following. For example, if option A is given in all the four options, if say A statement is given in all the four options, you need not to spend your time on that particular option. That will automatically is a correct option. Similarly, one of the option is not given in any, then you are not bothered. If one is given only in one of the option, okay, one statement is given only in one of the option, that becomes an extremely important statement, because the moment you can identify that statement is true, your answer is very easy for all of you. Okay, now let's see this. Characteristic of a dual source CT. Characteristic of a dual source CT. Dual source CT, you all know, is operating at 80 kVp and 140 kVp. There are two tubes which are operating at different potential. When they are operating at different potential, they can generate different contrast and they can give you better density characterization of a particular tissue. The very important advantage of a dual source CT is, if you want to do a CCT, a prior non-contrast CT is not needed. A virtual non-contrast image can be created from a contrast enhanced scan. The second important advantage of a dual source CT is coronary CT angiography can be done at any heart rate. You don't need a beta blocker to reduce the heart rate in a dual source CT. Now let's see. Useful to scan at any heart rate without using beta blocker. This is indeed a correct statement. Uses two X-ray tube operating at same potential. No, that is wrong. They are operating at different potential. So B is wrong. Please understand, the moment you say B is wrong, please, I just want to tell you, you are 100% sure B is wrong. You are not bothered. See, B is wrong. So this is definitely wrong. This is definitely wrong. And this is definitely wrong. And this is the answer. So these are the tricks that are there. The moment you know that these two tubes are operating at different potential and you know that this is wrong, automatically the answer is correct. Let's see. Can characterize type of kidney stone? Yes, it can characterize density of the kidney stone, which is an important role of it. Dual source stands for acquisition on two CT scanners separately. No, that is wrong. It is a one scanner with incorporated two tubes. Okay. So this is a pattern of a multiple completion type. Can be asked in the exam or can be asked in a NEET PG pattern as well. Another pattern which we have seen during your MBBS AIIMS entrance exam also, and that's the reason and darshan type. Please remember, all what we can do in an AIIMS exam is to predict. We do not know what kind of pattern will be there in the paper. AIIMS is notorious in doing this. They may give you single best answer, they may give you GIF, they may give you videos, they may give you multiple. What I always say to my students is that you have to be prepared with every odd circumstance. That's all. Nothing should come as a surprise so that you become anxious and you are not able to prepare or you are not able to perform to the best of your efforts in the exam. And that is the reason that I am trying to cover these different kind of pattern, so that if you get such questions, please remember, at no point I am saying that these will definitely be there. There are chances that these kind of questions and this pattern might be there in the paper. Okay. All right. So when it's an assertion and reason, now what has been told to us for all of us is that there is an assertion and there is a reason. If you are able to establish that both are correct, the major challenge that we face is we are not able to identify that whether it's a correct explanation or not. Read both the statement together, and if you can relate the two with a because, it's a correct explanation. And if you can relate the two with an and, it is not the correct explanation. It's as simple as that. So now let's see this. Inferior rib notching is seen in coaptation of aorta. Now we know inferior rib notching is seen in coaptation of aorta. You see bilateral third to ninth rib, that's your rib notching. Prominent collateral vessels and nerve bundle run along the inferior border of the rib. So let's try to read these two statements together. inferior rib notching is seen in coarctation of aorta because prominent collateral vessels and nerve bundle run along inferior border of rib. That is making sense. And yes, the inferior rib notching is because the neurovascular bundle is passing through the inferior part of the rib. So indeed, both are correct, and the reason is the correct explanation for the assertion. Reason is the correct explanation for the assertion. Now it is to be noted that if the coarctation is distal to the left subclavian artery, which is the normal scenario, you see bilateral rib notching. However, please remember, if the coarctation is proximal to the left subclavian artery, which can happen in some cases, it's only the right side that will show rib notching. Only the right side will show rib notching in those cases. I am not showing you true and false kind of question. That is another pattern that could be there. The last pattern that I am showing you is an extended matching type. In an extended matching type, there are multiple scenarios that you should solve on the basis of the key that is being given. I am showing you a scenario with two cases, and there will be two or more scenarios related to an overall theme and focus of the question. For each of the following patient as described in the scenario, identify the cause from the above answers option list. So what are the answers? Theme and focus is non-ionizing imaging modality. So what are the important non-ionizing imaging modality? We all know MRI and ultrasound. So you can see MRI and ultrasound. And the modification of MRI is MRCP, and advanced in ultrasound is Doppler and as well as endoscopic ultrasound. So we have to pick up an answer from these 5 choices. Let's see first case. A 10-year-old child came to emergency department with acute pain in the right iliac fossa with vomiting. What should be the first investigation to be done from the above list? Pain in the right iliac fossa with vomiting. Your first diagnosis should be a suspected acute appendicitis. A suspected acute appendicitis, and it is to be noted in a pediatric age group, the preferred radiological investigation in a suspected acute appendicitis is ultrasound. If this would have been an adult, first investigation could still be ultrasound, but the preferred radiological investigation to confirm acute appendicitis is CCT. So please remember, in a child it is ultrasound, in adults it is CECT. And also what you need to remember, what is a specific finding that is seen on ultrasound in acute appendicitis? Blind ending, tubular, non-compressible, blind ending, tubular, non-compressible, aperistaltic structure of outer wall to wall diameter of more than 7 millimeter. Of outer wall to wall diameter of more than 7 millimeter is acute appendicitis. This is the standard line that we write in our radiology report if you want to diagnose acute appendicitis on ultrasound. Okay, but please remember, in adults the preferred radiological investigation is CT scan. Where do you see dilated appendix? Let me write it over here. Dilated appendix. The diameter is more than 6 mm here. So for a CT and ultrasound, it is different. And the second is periappendiceal fat streakiness. Periappendiceal fat streakiness. Okay. Now let's see case 2. Same theme, case 2. A young athlete come to sudden onset pain in the scrotum and redness and swelling in the overlying skin. The doctor in the emergency department is not sure about the diagnosis. Why is not sure about the diagnosis? Because he is thinking, why it's a sudden pain with redness and swelling? It could be testicular torsion. And this is a typical clinical vignette that we are getting nowadays. Testicular torsion or acute epididymoorchitis. Or acute epididymoorchitis. Usually, you can try to diagnose them clinically by doing a clinical test which is called as Prehan's test, to look for elevated testes and to look for relief of the pain. If the pain gets relieved, it is acute epididymoarthritis. If it doesn't, it is testicular torsion. But pain is subjective. So we take the help of radiological investigation. And which radiological investigation we gonna do here? Doppler. Why Doppler? Because testicular torsion will show reduced vascularity. Testicular torsion will show reduced vascularity, and acute epididymoarthritis will show increased vascularity. Acute epididymoarthritis will show increased vascularity. Okay, so that's about the 10 pattern questions for the INI-CT exam. Usually my personal understanding is that we do not get too many radiology related questions in the INI-CT or the AIM. We get a lot of them in the NEET PG exam. But my basic aim was to tell you that you may get paper of any pattern. It could be a single best answer MCQ, or as AIMS has given this pattern in the past, you may get such. Please stay focused. You have some days, and I'm sure you will come out with flying colors. Do tell us the questions after the exam. You are our only source, and we will show you, will try to create the paper in the best possible way. And I am sure that you will all do very, very best in the exam. Okay, take care, and once again, wish you best of the luck.